It's 7:01, so I guess we will start. So my name is Dmitry Holod. I'm associate professor of finance here at Stony Brook College of Business. I'm also associate dean for academic programs. My area of research is corporate finance and banking. So I'm teaching actually corporate finance and banking. So this course, MBA 502, is just basic finance course, what we call corporate finance. Then in spring semester, I'm teaching bank management. So if you're interested, you could sign up for that course as well. So what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to give you overview of the structure of the course, what we're going to do, where to find all the materials, how the course is going to be organized, a little bit about deadlines, about office hours, and so on. And then I'll just open it up for you guys if you have any questions. So it's just introductory meeting. There is no content today, obviously. It's just to get used to what the format of the class is. And from now on, after this meeting, everything is going to be asynchronous, meaning that you go at your own pace. You just go through the lectures, you do the practice homeworks, and you take the test. Now, the test will be synchronous, meaning that it will be at a specific time. I will get announcement. I'll post announcement about that later on. Also, we will have a couple of review sessions. I will talk about that a little later. But again, in general, the course is asynchronous. So I know that some of you, have work schedule, and some of you emailed me saying that you have another class at 7 p.m. So don't worry, that's not normal. I realize that some of you may not be able to make those live sessions. They're not required, they're optional. Okay. All right. So ideally, I would like to get to know you a little bit more, but we have quite a few people, so probably it's not the best strategy right now to go one by one. So uh, just perhaps one thing I would like to know, if any of you could flag or give me, some kind of sign, raise hand or whatever, if you have any finance background, either at work or in your, coursework. Maybe you have undergraduate major related to finance, or, you have any other degrees or whatever. So I just want to get a feel, how many of you, have some kind of exposure to finance, and how many of you are absolutely new to finance, so that I know how to, make any adjustments. So just maybe do the hands thing, how you do it on Zoom. Okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, okay, we have some, but not many. So let me see something in chat. Beginner, minimum exposure from work. Okay. All right. So now the reason I'm asking that is not that you need the background. It's actually the other way around, meaning that if you do have background, it actually will help you. But if you have too much background, it may make course even boring to you. So to some extent, it might be like, okay, I already know that, I already heard that. Because the idea is it's a core MBA course, meaning that some of you may not even do finance eventually. A lot of you will have MBA in marketing. Some of you will have general MBA or management MBA. So my assumption is you don't know anything about finance, and you may not want to know much about finance. So I'm trying to give you the bare minimum of what is needed for you to understand the operations of the firm from financial perspective. Because, if you end up going into management position, and that's what MBA degree is for, you need to be familiar with various functions of business, and that is finance, accounting, operations, marketing. So the assumption is you never had finance, and chances are that this would be as much as you will ever get. So, it will be relatively basic, but still, it's graduate work, which means that some of the stuff will require a little bit of math. And by little bit, I mean, you need to understand some algebra, how to do the fractions, how to do, solve some very simple equations. Calculus, not so much. I will do a couple of derivations just to show you where the formula is coming from, but you don't need to do any differentiation for any of your coursework. So, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Accounting background, again, is not needed because I will give you what you need from accounting perspective. In fact, the first lecture after introductory lecture will be review of accounting. So again, I assume that you have not had any accounting or finance, but unfortunately, we do need to have some kind of accounting exposure to understand some finance concepts. So I have to spend time on it. So I'll try to make it, seamless and give you only what you really need to know. Okay, so that's basically it. So, occasionally I get feedback from students, stuff like, I'm not numbers guy or I'm not numbers person, so what do I do? It's not really numbers that much. I'm not asking you to memorize anything. As you will see later, I'll explain, exam will be complete open book, meaning that you don't have to memorize, you don't really have to have anything in your head. It's more of you just understanding the concept. So don't worry about not being numbers person. Don't worry about not liking math. You could still do well in the class. You just need to work maybe a little bit harder, maybe review some of the concepts if you struggle. But the bottom line, don't let misunderstanding accumulate. That's one of the most common mistakes the student make. They don't get some concept, they think, well, I'll catch up later. And then it accumulates like a snowball because it's all connected. And at some point, somewhere in the end of the semester, you show up at the office hours and turns out that you don't know anything. Okay, at that point, it might be too late. So it's always good to kind of go step by step and try to fix problems as they, appear. Okay. All right. Now let me share my screen with you. I'll show you the syllabus. It's on the Blackboard, but let me just show you the syllabus first, and then I'm gonna show you what's on the Blackboard. So again, MBA 502, as you can see, the meeting time online asynchronous, meaning that you're not committed to any specific time, you go at your own pace. I do have my office location here because technically you could come to see me in the office if you want to, because we operate, the campus is operational right now. There are requirements, you have to wear a mask and all this kind of stuff. So you should be aware of all of those requirements. So if you do want to see me in the office, you can do that. You just need to email me and set up an appointment. Now, alternatively, the office hours will be primarily via email or Zoom, okay? By email, I mean, if you have any question, you could always just send me the question and I'll try to answer it via email. If it requires any interactive discussion, feedback, then you just send me email again and say, let's meet in Zoom. I will send you the link, we'll set up appointment, and then we will just talk like, like we do now, but we will do it one-on-one. You could also meet in a group, especially if it's case study question. I'll talk about that in a moment. The case studies are team-based. So if your team wants to meet, again, we will set up a meeting and we can do it with Zoom. And Zoom actually is a better option. It's just more efficient because I could just share my screen. You could share your screen. It's very, very convenient. So that's one thing. But again, if you do want personal meeting in the office, that's a possibility. It's not a problem. I can come to campus. In fact, I will be on campus occasionally. I have other responsibilities, some administrative responsibilities. So I will be there in my office. But again, if you do need a meeting, you have to let me know in advance. Okay, now let's see. So the course description, as I mentioned, this is a corporate finance course. So when I say finance, people usually associate finance with, stock market, trading stocks, making money. That is all true, but this course is about corporate finance, meaning that you're managing the finances of the corporation, of the company. So it's not about how to buy low and sell high. It's not how about, short sell certain stocks. That's different concept, all right? That's more like asset pricing or investment analysis type of course. This one is, I'm running a company, okay, and the company makes a product. Let's say it's Tesla, all right? They make electric vehicle, they have great technology, good marketing. The question is, how do they make sure that whatever they do is sustainable from financial perspective? So in this course, I will explain to you what it really means, how you raise funding, okay? How do you make investments that actually benefit your shareholders, and how you create value for the firm, okay? So don't confuse it with, buying, selling stocks. Again, that's a different concept. So again, it's corporate finance. So the textbook is called Corporate Finance. It's 12th edition by these guys, Ross, Westerfield, and Jaffe. I mean, I'm sure that most of you will have it in electronic form. If you want to buy hard copy, that's fine, but electronic form is fine. You do need the textbook, because I do anticipate that question. Students email me, do I really need it? Do I really need to spend money? Unfortunately, yes, you do, because if you simply go by the lecture notes, it might be sufficient for some of you, but I wouldn't take that risk, because you always want to check and maybe read a little bit more in the textbook. Maybe you'll get the concept a little bit better in more depth, maybe some additional examples. So it's always helpful to have textbook. And by the way, the practice homeworks, which I will talk about in a moment, they are also based on the textbook, and the case studies are based on the textbook. So you need to have it. Now, the lectures will be recorded. In fact, I already recorded. I did everything in advance. It's already posted on the Blackboard. So you have all the lectures recorded. They're going to be split in parts, meaning that even if it's lecture 1, let's say for chapter 1, chances are it will be part 1 and then part 2. The reason for it is because I don't want to have huge file. There are more, chances that something's going to go wrong. So I partition them in 2, 3, 4 parts, depending on how long the lecture is. But, they're all uploaded on YouTube, but the links are posted on the Blackboard. I could have posted the actual files on the Blackboard, but it's a little glitchy, and sometimes Blackboard does not accept all the files. So I found that YouTube is easier. It's easier to access. It requires less computing power. Let me just see somebody asking a question. Do I have the photo of the textbook? I don't, because again, I'm using electronic version myself. I'll try to see if I could go online, find that maybe they do have a picture. But yes, there are many versions, but again, it says clearly here, it has to be called corporate finance, nothing else, because they also fundamentals of corporate finance, then I think essentials of corporate finance. These are all wrong textbooks. It has to be corporate finance, and it has to be 12th edition, and it has to be these 3 authors. So if you look at all these 3 parameters, you're not going to go wrong. Okay. So again, if I remember later, I'll find that picture. If anything, I'll go on Amazon and find it. Let's see. Okay. Now, exams. So exams will be administered again through the Blackboard. So it's online version of the test. The instructions for each exams will follow. So don't worry about it right now. Just keep in mind that it will be open book exam. So I don't expect it to remember everything. But again, it's not a good strategy to just have the textbook and then do nothing and say, all right, here's the question, let me find the answer. That's not going to work. You will run out of time. So you need to study, you need to know what you're doing. And the only reason I allow you to use textbook is because sometimes certain formulas you just look and that's it. You don't need to memorize. But conceptually, you do need to understand what you're doing. So there will be window for exam. So don't worry about not having, flexibility. So the way it's going to work, I'll give you, let's say, a 6-hour window, maybe 7-hour window. During that window, you will be able to log in and take the test. The test itself might take, let's say, only 2 hours, but you can take those 2 hours within the window. So some of you might decide to log in at 4 p.m. Some of you might decide to log in at 6, maybe at 8. But once you log in, once you start your test, you will have, let's say, 2 hours. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be 1.5 hours, 2, maybe 3. We'll see. But that's something to be aware of. However, everybody will have the test on the same date. Okay. So yes, within that date, you have some flexibility, plus minus a couple of hours, but it's still going to be the same date. And the dates are already announced right here. So if I scroll down, so exam 1 is October 18th, and exam 2 is December 6th. Okay, so you have 2 tests that are going to be on the Blackboard. And again, as I said, I'll give you more information later. Now, I understand that, you will have lectures, you will have practice homeworks, but still you may need some more information about, the summary of what kind of concepts might be on the test. Maybe you'll have some questions related to the test. That's why prior to each test, we will have a review session. So review session will be live. So during that review session, you will have a chance to ask any questions you want. Okay. Also, I will post review sheets a few weeks before the test that will pretty much list the topics and the concept that you need to know for the test. So, it's not something that you wouldn't know already, but at least it gives you some kind of summary of what to focus on. Okay, it will kind of systematize the material in your head. And also, when you prepare, you go through that review sheet. If you have certain bullet point that you struggle with, you will have a chance to ask a question during a review session. And of course, if you need more in-depth discussion, you're welcome to come to office hours. So use that opportunity. Okay. Let's see, case studies. We'll have 2 case studies. They are team-based, and the teams will be assigned. So what's going to happen within the next week or two, I'll just create teams on the Blackboard. When you log in on your Blackboard page, you will know which teams you're in, and you will be able to communicate with your team members through Blackboard. You'll be able to send an email. You will be able to set up any kind of conversation room, pretty much anything you want. Now, let's see. I do want you to do Zoom meetings for your teams. It's not a good strategy, and I see it all the time. It's not a good strategy to simply say, you're doing number 1, you're doing number 2, and I'm doing number 3 in terms of case study, like point 1, 2, and 3. It's not a good strategy because they're all connected. You cannot do 3 without doing 1 first. So what usually happens when people split responsibilities like that, whoever has to do number 3 gets nervous because whoever does number 1 doesn't do it on time. And then you start, having issues. Also, you do number 1 and you don't worry about what's going to happen in 2 and 3. Again, that's the wrong strategy because you're responsible for everything. I'm not going to grade you on what you've done. I'm going to grade the whole team on the entire product. So a much better strategy is to simply do it together. Okay, to set up some time, get together and do the actual case study together. It doesn't take that long. All right, I'm teaching this class in Korea for Korean students, and we've been doing this online for a couple of years now, and they're pretty efficient with that. So I can see it can be done. So they just immediately get together, they share screens, they use Excel. Some of them have textbooks, some of them have electronic versions, and they just do it and they discuss it, and that's a lot more efficient. So I recommend you do it that way. Now, if you still want to split responsibilities, it's up to you. I'm just saying that it may not be the most efficient way. Okay. I'm going to skip this part here. So that's kind of self-explanatory. So in terms of grades, each exam is 100 points and each case study is 25. So the total is 250. So of course, don't ignore case studies. They are pretty significant grade booster. Most of you will get very good grades on cases because again, it's something that you have time to work with, and most of the time students do well. So make sure you do well on case studies. That will give you 50 points. So even though you're not doing perfectly well on the tests, case studies will really significantly impact your grade. Let's see here, Blackboard. So of course, all of you have to have access to Blackboard. That's the only platform we are using. So all information is going to be there. So in a moment, I'll show you what you're going to see on the Blackboard. So here's the course overview. So as I mentioned, corporate finance is about how you manage company from financial perspective with the most important goal of maximizing shareholder wealth. So you're the manager, you're the agent, you are being hired by the shareholders. What are you going to do financially to make your shareholders happy? Okay. And it turns out that it boils down to 2 fundamental questions. How do you make correct investments, meaning investment projects? Let's say you launch this product, or you open plant in Germany, or you open plant somewhere in California, or you completely, get rid of particular product line. All of those are financial questions. You need to have the tool to understand how to make that right decision. Okay. Then the second question is, how do you finance those projects? Okay. So any investment requires financing. So those two important questions that we're going to focus on primarily. Okay. But before we do that, before we jump into the discussion of, financing and investment, we're going to review some accounting. We're going to review some financial analysis to better understand how to measure the performance of the firm. And then we're going to talk about valuation, capital budgeting, risk and return, and capital structure. So these sections, capital budgeting, risk, and capital structure, it's about making investment and financing. The first section, which is overview, is more about, if you look at the data of the firm, how do you know if the firm is doing well or not well? What are the parameters? What are the indicators? So that's what we call financial analysis. All right. Let's see the dates. So as I mentioned, exam 1 is October 8th, exam 2 is December 6th, which is the last day of class officially. Cases are due October 25th and December 13th. So as you can see, I give you another week after the final. I realize that some of you might need a little bit more time to prepare. So that you're not stressed out, if you have some work to do on your case study, you don't need to juggle and try to manage your time so that you get preparation for the test and case study at the same time. So you may put aside case study if something needs to be just done later, do your exam, and then you have another week to complete the case study. Now, that being said, ideally, you would want to get done with your case studies a lot earlier, and you will have the opportunity to do so. Okay. For example, case 1 due October 25th, but the material that is required for that case study will probably be finished by October 1st. Okay. Maybe first week of October. So if you're disciplined, you should be able to start working on it right away. Similarly, for case number 2, the material will be done probably by mid-November. Okay, maybe even early November. So you will have the whole month to actually finish that case study. So don't procrastinate. Try to get on it right away. All right, let's see. Somebody has a question. Is it exam 2 plus final? No, there is no final. There is only exam 1 and exam 2. So that's actually a trick that we use to avoid dragging the class to the final week. We cannot call it final. I cannot call it officially final. I call it exam 2, and that's why I can actually schedule it during the actual class time, which is December 6th. Now, should I call it final? Well, yeah, but the thing is, it's not cumulative. I never had cumulative exams. I think it's a little bit unfair and unnecessary. So exam 1, exam 2 are identical in terms of their weight. They're identical, well, not identical, but very similar in terms of the amount of the material that they cover. They're non-cumulative, so there is no point to call exam 2 the final exam. It's just another test. Okay. So to answer your question, it's not cumulative. So it will be on December 6th, and you will finish with this course earlier, so you don't need to worry about finals week. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, guys, before we go to Blackboard, do you have any questions so far? Any questions, any concerns? Okay, I think that's good. All right, so let me now get to the Blackboard. So let me see. Here we go. So let me share my screen. Okay. All right, so you should see now the Blackboard page. So for me, it looks like this. For you, it might look a little different. I have a bunch of courses here. So if I click on this course, it's going to be this. So I assume that would be similar to what you have. So you'll have announcements, obviously. So announcement will be anything that happens, it will be there. Now the syllabus is on the syllabus. That's obvious right here. So here's your syllabus. You click on it, you should be able to download it. Now the course documents, that's where you're going to have all your lectures, and they are already there. And as you can see, there are two files here. Well, one file and one link. So the first one it's called PPT, PowerPoint. That's just the PowerPoint slides, PowerPoint file with the lecture slides. In case you want to print them out, take them with you somewhere, or store it on your machine and then just look at them somewhere on the train. Sometimes you just don't like necessarily to watch videos all the time. Sometimes you want to have the material itself, maybe write on it. So that's why you have this lecture one PowerPoint slides. Then you have the actual lecture recording, and that's the link to YouTube. As I mentioned, I don't upload the actual lectures on the Blackboard. Instead, I give you the link. So you click on that link and it should start going. Okay, you can pause, you can rewind, you can watch those recording at any point in time. All right. Also here you will have your review sheets. You will have this Zoom recording. So all of the files, all of the items related to the content of the course will be on the course documents. So again, when we are done with this session today, I will save this recording and I will upload it right here on the course documents. Okay. Now, there is another tab which is called assignments. So here you will have those practice homeworks, and I think there will be around 6. Okay. So practice homeworks are not for grade. So you don't need to worry about, submitting them on time, meeting the deadline. The goal of the homework is just to give you some kind of an idea of what kind of exam questions you might get, what kind of problems you need to focus on. Now, let me tell you right away, exam questions will be a lot easier than homework questions. But still, you need to be able to replicate those homeworks, because if you're able to do that, you will have easier time on the test. Okay. Now, to make your life even easier, I'm going to post the answer keys as well. So you'll have homeworks and then you have answer keys. Now, don't jump to answer keys right away. You don't want to do that. Please do your best to do homework on your own. In fact, if you struggle, try maybe even set up the meeting with me first, right? And then you consult the answer key. So again, I want to make sure that you do your best to really master the material instead of taking shortcuts. I do give you shortcuts because we're all adults here, right? It's a graduate course. You're working professionals. Some of you are, some of you, have experience doing things and multitasking. So I don't want to really micromanage you. I want to give you all the possibilities to do well. So yes, I'm going to post answer keys, but again, try not to jump to those answer keys right away. Try to do some kind of studying first. Okay, let's see. And your tests are going to be on the course documents as well. So again, I will give you all the instructions necessary to anything related to the test. Okay, now the Zoom meetings will be announced. Again, it will be on the announcement right here, like as this one, you have the link. So the same will happen when we have review sessions. And again, you will have review sheets, you will have recordings of those review sessions. So if you cannot make it to the meetings, you should still be fine. Okay. All right. Let me stop sharing this one. So at this point, I think I mentioned everything I wanted to mention. So let me just review again. The lectures are already posted. Try to go 1 lecture every week. Okay, so again, I'm not giving you any strict schedule, but this is how you should be doing it. Lecture 1 this week, lecture 2 next week. Now, if we have official holiday, let's say we observe Labor Day, right, in a couple of weeks. If you want to, you could skip that week, because the way I design those lectures is, I assume that you don't study during that week, all right, because I want to honor the fact that we do have the holiday. Now, if you want to, of course, you can go ahead and study. That will give you, extra advantage. But again, 1 lecture every week, perhaps excluding the weeks where we have observed holidays that are on the official university calendar. Okay. Now, the homeworks will be posted. In fact, I'll try to post them all in advance very soon, maybe within a week or so. So as you will see, homeworks will be covering a couple of chapters, right, every time. So that's why we have 6 homeworks. We have around 10 lectures overall, but 6 homeworks. So it's roughly 2 chapters per homework, a little bit less. Okay, so make sure you do those. And if you struggle at any point in time, contact me, set up office hours, and we can discuss. All right, or shoot me email. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. Any questions at this point? Any concerns? You can either speak up right away, don't worry about it, there are not that many people, or you could send your question through chat, whatever works for you. Everybody is so clear. All right, guys, you sure? Last chance, then I'm going to disappear and you're never going to see me again. Don't worry, not going to happen. Let's see. Okay. All right. All right. If there are no questions, we have no choice but to stop now. I hope you'll do well through the storm. Looks like it turned out to be much easier than everybody thought. In fact, I already swam in my pool today, so that's a good thing. It was pretty short term. Now, again, I know that some of you, you're reluctant to ask questions, like, in front of the group and everything. So don't worry about that. Just make sure that you still address any concerns you have privately. So send me email or we'll set up the meeting. So don't hesitate. Oh, there you go. Now we have a question. So when do we find out our groups? Okay, good question. As I mentioned in the beginning, I will create the teams within the next couple of days. So let's say by the weekend, you should have your team. So basically on the Blackboard, let me just see here. If I look at the Blackboard, yeah, there is no team tab yet, but that's because I haven't created it yet. But once I create it, you should see something like teams or group, whatever I call it. And then when you click on it, you will see who your team members are. And again, establish the contact right away. And please don't disappear. You're not gonna believe how many times I get people failed because they don't participate in the team. For some reason, they believe that if they don't show up, if they don't respond, but their teammates are still doing things, that they're gonna get the free ride. It's not gonna happen. Your teammates will report you for sure, and you're not gonna get grade. So don't just disappear. Don't assume that if nobody bothers you, it means that everything is fine. Sometimes people bother you and you don't even know about that because they send you email and something is not working. I've had that before. So make sure that you all establish the reliable contact channel with your teammates so that there are no problems down the road. And likewise, if you feel like somebody is not doing their job in your team, let me know right away. I will give that person some kind of signal that he or she needs to work harder. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All good.
Hi, Professor. I just had a question real quick.
Yep.
Just wanted to clarify. So is everything that's being graded just the 2 tests and then the 2 case studies?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 tests, 2 case studies. No extra credit. So I'm gonna tell you right away. Yeah, ideally we would like to have a little bit more maybe homeworks and stuff, but again, the value of homeworks is just to get you ready for the test, and that's what I'm giving you. I'm giving you 6 homeworks anyway. In terms of grades, I didn't really have many problems in the past of people not having enough opportunities, especially if it's an open book test. If you know material, you should do fine. And the time limit is going to be generous enough, so you're not going to be under time pressure either. So all you need to do is just to really study and make sure that you come prepared. If you're not prepared, then it doesn't matter how many assignments you're going to have. You're not going to get good grade. So I think we should be okay. I mean, this particular grade structure proved to be pretty decent. Okay. Any other questions?
Professor, just a quick question. For
Yeah.
the case study, we just discuss amongst ourselves our role, or our role will be assigned by you? Like what exactly, how we will be playing our role in those assignments?
Yeah, I'm not going to assign you the roles. You will just have the meeting of the team, and then you will just decide who does what. But as I mentioned, what I would do if I were doing that case study, I would say, all right, everybody. So first you meet with your team. Then everybody has to read the case study. Everybody really has to understand what is required. Okay, not necessarily do everything, but at least understand what is required. And then you have another meeting, you get together, and then you actually do the case study together. Okay, live. It's not that difficult, actually. It's actually a lot better if you just get together and you do it live. At least you get all the numbers right, all the ratios right, or all the Excel workouts already done. Then you can split in terms of how you write that up. And in fact, I don't require much write up, especially for second case study. Case number 2, all I want is your Excel file. That's all. You don't have to write anything. It's all calculations. Case 1, there are some interpretation, there are some writings, but again, I don't want you to write a lot. Just write to the point. I'm not going to grade you on the volume. I'm going to grade you on the substance. So again, if you want to split right away, that's okay. You need to figure out who does what, but I would recommend that you actually do it together. Okay. Okay, will we be partnered with the same team members for each case study? Yes. Yeah, it's only 2 case study. It's not, it's not a lot. So same team. Now, of course, occasionally things happen and you absolutely hate your team members. There is some conflict going on. You just, no chemistry or whatever. So if that happens, I can do something with that. We can reassign. But, it doesn't happen very often. Okay. Any other questions? By the way, the teams are going to be around 4 to 5, I think. Minimum 4, maximum 5. I'll try to make the team of 4 as much as I can. I don't know exactly how many people we have. If it's not divisible by 4, then I'll just make the team of maybe 3, maybe 5. But, I'll try to keep it at 4. Okay. Let's see. Now, if you do have a team already, maybe you work, with somebody already in another class. How about we do it that way? If you do have a team of 4, let me know right away. Let's say by the end of the week, and then I'll just keep that team for this class as well. It doesn't really happen all the time. It doesn't happen often, but occasionally some of you may have already started working, maybe in another class, and maybe you know somebody you prefer to work together. So I could actually take that into account, but I'm not going to give you that much time. I'm going to give you only until the end of the week. Okay, because by Monday I want to have teams set up. Okay, so that's just another thing we could do. Any other questions? Well, I'm sure you will have more questions. Well, once you start working, once you start going through the class. So I don't know. Some people like asynchronous. Some people prefer live Zoom sessions. It depends. This class in particular is asynchronous because we had to do it that way because we wanted to give people more flexibility. But again, we will have some synchronous component with those review sessions. And by the way, even though we have scheduled 2 review sessions before each exam, you don't have to stop there. If you guys need another review, if you need another feedback type of sessions, we could set up another one. I just need to get enough feedback from you that it's really needed. Otherwise, we could solve those problems on an individual basis. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Any other questions? Any concerns? Okay. All right. Looks like we are good for now. All right. Good luck with everything. So don't disappear again. Email me if you have any questions, any concerns in the future, and start working. Today is Monday. The week has just started. So try to go through at least lecture 1 this week. It's introductory. It's very short. Next lecture is already bigger. So that's when the action actually happens. This first lecture is going to be very short, very small. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Professor.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the evening and the rest of the week.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.